here at church, we take up an offering every fifth Sunday. There's 4 fifth Sundays in a calendar year. So we take up this special offering, and it's our benevolence fund. So those funds stay here, and then at my discretion, I can use those to help people in need, community members who might need help with rent or electric. Maybe they need some medicine bought or diapers for their kid, gas for their car, uh, food. The list goes on and on. But people will call or stop by and share their need. And so we have some things in place that help us vet those people, vet their stories, verify what they're telling us, so that we can make a really informed decision as to whether this is going to be a good investment of church money or not. Some people come and they're transparent and they tell the truth, and those are good investments. Some people are con artists and absolutely are lying and just trying to get whatever they can from the church, and those are bad investments. Um, in a small town, I know a lot of the people who come knocking on the church door. I know their stories, so I know whether they're telling the truth or not. I've followed their stories. I've got notes and files on them. And so I kind of know the circuit of con artists who come knocking on the door as to the people who truly are in need from time to time to help out. And it's not always easy to make those decisions. Um, we have limitations. We can only help X amount of dollars in a calendar year per person. And so sometimes a person will call and they really legitimately have a need, but we've already um, used all of their limits or maybe even exceeded their limits. And so I have to turn them away because of our guidelines. Maybe their need is greater than what we have. Maybe it's greater than the limits we've put, or maybe it's even greater than the funds that we have available. Sometimes it's just a hard story to hear. And because we're out of funds, there's nothing that we can do for them. Um, you have to have things in place so you can vet those stories. You have to learn people. You have to network. I have other agencies that I can call in town to kind of verify stories. Um, you need to lean on the Holy Spirit and His guiding, and sometimes it's just your own heart. So there's a young man in town. We'll call him Chris. I've known Chris for several years. He's made some really bad decisions in life, and he just has to live with those consequences. And he became a first-time father a couple years ago. Him and his girlfriend, and so he's got this little 2-year-old boy, precious little boy, and Chris is on a disability, and his girlfriend works, but things are tight. She doesn't work full time, and it's a very minimal job. And so Chris, on occasion, will call with different needs, and since this little boy has come into his life, Chris is really striving and really trying, and usually now when he calls, the need is related to his little boy. And so here we are, the end of this period. This coming Sunday is a fifth Sunday, so we'll renew some funds, but we're pretty much broke. Um, and so Chris called today and shared, his story that they're on WIC for the little boy, which is a good thing. And girlfriend is still working, and Chris is still getting uh, his disability check, and they're doing really good with this little boy. But they are out of milk, and the little boy is a big milk drinker. And so, as a grandfather, I thought of my little grandson, and I would absolutely give that kid a gallon of milk. So, you know, cruised over to the grocery store and picked up a gallon of milk, and Chris swung by the church and had his little boy with him. So I got to see the little boy and talk with Chris and kind of get a little bit of update on Chris. So that was a good investment. Um, but there's more to the story. So Chris's mom, poor, a lady who's also made a lot of bad choices in her life, um, is always looking for a handout and help. And If Chris is a con artist on any level, his mom is a con artist on a much higher level. And I knew as soon as I helped Chris, even though it was just $3 a gallon of milk, that within a few hours his mom would be calling because, um, you know, once somebody gets something for free, they call all their friends and let them know. That's just how the circuit works when it comes to, poor people. Um, and so she called, and I know her story. I've been around her for several years too. And she started laying out all these needs in the sad sob story. And so I had to make some decisions about her story, about her needs. I had to look at where we were financially with our benevolence fund. And I had to make some hard decisions concerning her. So I tell you all that to say this: with eyes wide open, you need to be faithful to the gospel. Widows and orphans and women and children and the least of these, and do the best you can to meet their needs. But you have to have your eyes wide open and be smart enough to have checks in place so that you're not getting conned, you're not getting scammed, you're not wasting church money, that you're not getting taken, because uh, we're called to help people, but people also are called to be accountable for their own actions. And so that was my experiences this morning, this afternoon, with benevolence. Two people from the same family, and both of them had real needs, and just had to make decisions on how or if I would meet those needs. So keep your eyes wide open as you do the best you can to meet the needs of the least of these.